Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we?
Because you said he was Hitler.
We talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets.
Oh, I bet you really laid down the gauntlet, Joe. I bet you walked in there and just let him have it, didn't you, Joey?
Liberal on liberal violence. It's always good. All right, folks, welcome back. Happy Tuesday. Clowns over at Morning Joe never failed to amaze me with their extreme arrogance and ignorance. Mika and Joe took a little field trip to Mar-a-Lago so they could tell their dwindling audience that they confronted the big bad bully, the Nazi, the Hitler, Donald Trump. Remember? I'm sure they really, really let Trump have it as he laughed in their faces. Let's get into some rapid reaction. We'll get a little more of that later. All right, before we get into anything else, we have to react to that earlier soundbite. Donald Trump took to Truth Social to call out Mika and Joe after their little visit. And I'm quoting Trump here this morning. Morning Joe, and he quoted Morning Joe and Mika, who owe their careers to me, went on their show and claimed to have met with me. They made it sound like we had a summit. The truth is, Joe begged to meet with me after our big win. And when I finally agreed, he approached me like a scolded dog. He should consider himself lucky that I didn't have him thrown out of beautiful Mar-a-Lago. Mika, however, was charming as usual. That is awesome. That's what he does. He divides and conquers. Mika is charming as usual. If you heard some of the things Mika's been saying for the last 4 years and certainly the last 4 weeks, I don't know. But anyway, Trump certainly paints a different story than what Morning Joe is putting out there. No wonder they're getting mocked right out of every single outlet. Enough about Morning Joe. He isn't worth our time. Let's talk about immigration for a minute, shall we? Trump border czar Tom Homan has made waves simply by stating his intention to carry out his responsibilities, the ones he's being tasked with by Donald Trump, the president. The man is taking his role very seriously, unlike his predecessor. You know who he is. Well, it was Mayorkas and Kamala Harris. Anyway, Homan's ready to get illegals out of here, and that's literally his job. Of course, a bunch of whining marshmallow idiot Democrats are pretending like they have any say in the national immigration policy anymore. It's laughable. Listen to Boston Mayor, city, not state, certainly not federal, a city mayor, Michelle Wu, basically tell Homan to take a hike.
Yeah, look, elections have consequences, and the federal government is responsible for a certain set of actions, and cities, no individual city can reverse or override some parts of that. But what we can do is make sure that we are doing our part to protect our residents in every possible way, that we are not cooperating with those efforts that actually threaten the safety of everyone by causing widespread fear and having large-scale economic impact.
And that was Michelle Wu. Remember, she had a Christmas party for non-white people last year? That same Michelle Wu. Absolutely lost in the woods. Michelle, figure it out, baby. Come on. Be real here. Homan, Tom Homan, of course, well, he had a great response to that one. And he said, well, Michelle Wu, not very smart, I'll give her that, because President Trump's going to prioritize public safety threats. What mayor or governor doesn't want public safety threats out of their communities? That's our number one responsibility, to protect their communities. And that's exactly what we, the federal government, Donald Trump and Tom Homan, are going to do. So she helps us. She gets the hell out of the way because we're going to do it with or without her. Bingo! Get with it or get out, Michelle Wu and the rest of you liberal Democrat mayors. It's remarkable that a city mayor thinks she has the authority to impact federal immigration reform. Get out of the way, lady. The whining liberals are still having meltdowns, some of them on national television. Since we're talking about the border, check out this clip of a Democratic strategist who I know very well. Well, she goes nuts about the thought of saying goodbye to her illegal friends.
Promise you with every fiber of my being, because I'll probably be one of those people, that if anybody comes for these people and tries to drag them out by force, there will be protests of people like me, American citizens, who are going to stand there and do everything possible to prevent these women and children, which is all who these people are.
How about the criminals? How about the terrorists? How about the convicted?
How do you sort
Stop.
through
How do you know who it is?
How do you sort through them?
That's the problem.
I live,
don't know who
stop,
it is.
stop. I'm sorry. I live next to these people. I can tell you they are women and they are children. Are there terrorists among them? I don't know.
Stop. Did you hear her cry out like a child when her narrative, by the way, she's a friend of mine, when her narrative was challenged? Also, how could somebody with a straight face say that they're willing to defend a group of illegals that may or may not contain terrorists? She literally admitted that she would defend this group and there might be terrorists in there. Well, her clip got better, so here's the final few seconds of it before we move on.
Okay, but what I'm telling you right now, practically speaking, is that there will be people, American citizens, who will prevent these little kids from being dragged out of these shelters. There are. And what's going to happen to these people? What is going to happen to the military when the military opens fire on us?
No one's. Can you say? Hang on one sec, Chuck. We're way down a rabbit hole.
So like I said, a friend, Julie Rodzinski, a Democrat, used to be like this, I don't know, moderate Democrat. I don't know what's going on now. Are they getting worse or are they getting better with this Trump win? But that's a textbook Democrat approach. Fear-mongering on CNN to make people think that somehow the Americans who just want a safe and secure country like you and I, well, we're the bad guys. You want to stand outside and protest with the aliens? Fine. Do as you please. She seriously wants us to believe that the military is going to start firing at Americans? No way. Julie, come on. You've completely missed one of the easiest points here. There's an immigration process that generations and generations of Americans have followed forever. If you want to live here, we would love to have you. Just get in line and do it the right way. It's simple as that. Trump's going to make sure that happens. Democrats have completely become numb to the daily horror stories that we saw under Kamala Harris and Crooked Joe. Murder shouldn't be a daily event, especially by illegals. Normalizing that is ridiculously stupid. Remember, Laken Riley, the young college student who was violently slaughtered on a jog in Georgia on a college campus, her beautiful life snuffed out, cut short, all thanks to this scumbag. Jose Ibarra, an alien, an illegal alien who Kamala Harris let into this country. As a matter of actual fact, not only did Kamala let Ibarra into America, she flew him directly to Georgia. Our moron vice president took our taxpayer dollars and basically placed this bloodthirsty animal at Laken Riley's doorstep. Stories like this just amplify the fact that Kamala Harris is a massive failure on her way out. She's destroyed everything that has ever been touched by her. She ruined California, she destroyed our border, and she absolutely failed miserably twice now at trying to become president. Let's face it, Kamala Harris is a career-long loser. For whatever reason, the Democrats are still trying to find somewhere to put her once Trump takes over. Shield your eyes, folks, for this one. Because in early 2028 Democratic primary poll, airhead Kamala Harris is absolutely crushing pretty boy Gavin Newsom to once again become the nominee. Haven't they learned their lesson? That should tell you all you need to know about the state of the Democrat Party. The bench is empty. There really is no talent left across the aisle. Okay, folks, again, this is Tuesday. Love to inform you that Goya, my friends over at Goya Foods, the international food conglomerate, Hispanic-based, born, raised, Bobby Nonway, good friend of mine, runs the company. In 2021, Goya launched Goya Cares, a global initiative to protect children and educate them on mental health. Goya Cares is providing schools and community centers with a preventative education curriculum and a absolutely free assembly that includes the viewing of Goya Cares' movie called Press Pause. Press Pause is intended to raise awareness regarding mental health issues, abuse, and bullying among children, teens, and others in our communities. Press Pause is an educational film following 15-year-old Sofia Rodriguez as she navigates adolescence, self-doubt, and an abusive relationship amid her parents' turbulent divorce, set within the cultural context of her Hispanic family. The film explores her discomfort with unwanted attention from her uncle and the pressures of maintaining a facade of perfection in high school. It introduces the Press Pause campaign promoting kindness and advocacy, highlighted by Sophia leaving a note saying, "You matter," for a bullied peer. The film encourages open family communication about mental health and culminates in Sophia's transformative realization of her right to seek help through the power of empathy and small acts of kindness. Press Pause displays the importance of being proactive in supporting one's community and underscores the critical importance of self-advocacy. Okay, folks, time for today's Truth Bomb. So we've been talking about Morning Joe and Trump. And by the way, I want to say something. Like, it was really, I guess, good and big of Trump to allow Morning Joe and Mika to come to Mar-a-Lago. I think he wants to reach across the aisle in a way that Joe Biden promised to do but couldn't. But I got to say, if I'm a Morning Joe diehard viewer, and I've been calling Trump Hitler and a Nazi, especially for the last couple of months, and ripping Trump for every single thing he does for the last 4 years. If I'm a viewer of Morning Joe, what's in it for you? You got a host that's been lying to you for 4 years and then tail between his legs goes to Mar-a-Lago and begs forgiveness. And that's the kind of host? That's the kind of information you want? Well, my good friend, my very, very, very good friend, Megyn Kelly, opened up on Morning Joe and Mika. Watch.
As for us, we also let him know that we will continue to speak truth to power and push back hard when called for.
Oh, please.
As we have with all presidents.
Don't be mistaken. We're not here to defend or normalize Donald Trump. We're here to report on him.
I think I found the perfect phrase. Go fuck yourselves. Go fuck yourselves, you dishonest jokes of faux journalists. What an absurd farce that was, Glenn. Which one was insincere? He's Hitler? Or now we're going to speak truth to power and find a way of speaking to and working with Donald Trump?
Hats off to our good friend, my personal good friend, Megyn Kelly, who just has found her stride, folks. I mean, Fox, she was wonderful. Well, she was just absolutely wonderful at Fox. She left, went to NBC. It was a mismatch, obviously. And she came out, and because she can say what she just said right there freely and honestly and organically and transparently and truthfully, that's why Megyn Kelly is number one in this space, and just thrilled to be just a good friend of hers. And keep going, Megyn. Just keep going. It's just awesome. Awesome to watch. Truth Bomb, folks. Okay, so did you see this? This is getting very, very serious. There's no joke here. This is getting very, very serious. Joe Biden, he seems to want World War III. Hey, Joe, you want that war with the side of chocolate chip ice cream? Are we in direct war with Russia? This isn't hyperbole. I wish it were hyperbole and it wasn't true, but it is. What's happening is massive. What's happening could change the world as we know it. Ukraine launched its first long-range strike into Russia with U.S.-made missiles. The go-ahead given by a deranged lunatic with 1/16 of a functioning brain and a clear death wish for America and the entire Western world. In case you're not sure who we're talking about, it's the guy who headed straight into the Amazon forest and who's giving the destruction of our country one last solid go-round before he descends into dementia. It descends us into World War III with exactly 2 months left in his presidency. How much more damage can Joe Biden do in just 2 months, you ask? Well, let's do the math. 2 months, subtracting nap time and battling beach sand time, minus the ice cream breaks and frequent lapses into dementia. Even without all of that, carry the one. Yep, it would appear that there's plenty of time to do a ton of damage by the worst president in U.S. modern history. But to help us answer that question even further, we have to ask ourselves, how much damage can a president do in 4 years? Well, obviously plenty. How much damage can a Democrat president do in 4 years? Enough to last generations. Let's dig in. First, let me say, I can't imagine anyone better equipped to undo as much of the damage done by Joe Biden than President Donald Trump, like when President Reagan came in after the disaster that was Jimmy Carter, apparently still holding on so his family can force him to vote for the Democrat presidential candidate in 2028. He'll be 104 then. It took Reagan not one, but 2 terms to undo years of overspending, weakness, and socialism that Carter brought on. And as we've already seen, Trump has plans to fix everything as quickly as possible. Open borders, deport. Inflation and spending, lower taxes. Overregulation, eliminate government agencies. Doge. But here's the thing. This is no easy task ahead, and that's putting it lightly. We just had the joy and privilege of watching a true red wave, but 2 weeks later, we're still not reveling in not only Trump's resounding win, but we also have control of both the Senate and the House. This is massive, and we know it's massive. It means we actually might get some things done and try to unravel some of the disaster of the 4 years of Biden and Kamala Harris and Obama. But we need to sit up and pay attention right now. Sure, it would be easy for us to sit here and marvel at the sight of Joe Biden sitting in the Oval Office in front of a large, toasty fire, shaking hands, laughing. Look at Joe congratulating Hitler on the massive win. Or laugh at Sir Naps-a-Lot at the G20 summit, veering into the Amazon. Funny, right? Veering off into the designated path on the red carpet, and he missed the picture. Disappearing for the group picture while everyone asks, where's Joe Biden? Sure, we could laugh about it, or we could cry. Either one works, actually. But what a joke America's current president is, missing on the group picture with world leaders. Didn't Joe Biden say when he became president that, quote, America is back at the table? He can't even find the table. But folks, Joe Biden is still the president for 2 more months. Joe Biden, the president, and that disaster, Kamala Harris, the vice president, that cabinet, they're still there. They're still dangerous. Entire administration, it's all there, making decisions, policies. They're scrambling to try and get as much of their America-killing policies through before President Trump takes over, which unfortunately isn't happening until Monday, the 20th of January, 2025. Let's not forget, 2 months is a very long time in politics. On just day 1 alone, remember this? When Biden pushed his corrupt self into that White House, he signed 17 executive orders to undo Trump policies. 17 executive orders in day 1 alone, Biden did. Biden, remember, day 1, ordered mask wearing on federal properties. He rejoined the power-hungry WHO World Health Organization, useless. He froze student debt collection. He rejoined the globalist BS Paris Climate Accords. He revoked the permit for the Keystone Pipeline on day 1 and other Trump-era energy rules. Biden, day 1, stopped construction of the U.S.-Mexican border wall. All of that, and by the way, more than that on day 1 alone. If he can do that in just a single day, what could Joe manage to do in 2 whole months he has left? Well, we should be worried and very worried because this looks really bad. So clearly, the de facto president, Barack Obama, hates Donald Trump so much that he's intent on creating irreversible damage. To be clear, allowing Ukraine to use long-range missiles provided by America for strikes inside Russia now takes our involvement, U.S. involvement in this war to an entirely leveled up level. Folks, we're not just sending billions in aid, hundreds of billions in aid, actually, and weapons to fight Ukraine, help Ukraine fight a war, defend themselves. Now our weapons are being used in a massive escalation, and Joey B. and Barack Obama gave the go-ahead. In response, today, Russian President Vladimir Putin has authorized Russia to use nuclear weapons against any country that uses ballistic missiles inside of Russia, like we've just authorized ours to do. But here's the catch. Putin adds that not only can he nuke the country that shot the missiles, Ukraine, but also the country that supplied them, United States of America. That's right, we supplied those weapons. Russia's Medvedev, who sits on Russia's Security Council, says, and I am quoting here, Russia's new nuclear doctrine means NATO missiles fired against our country could be deemed an attack by the bloc on Russia. Russia could retaliate with WMDs, weapons of mass destruction, against Kyiv and other key NATO facilities where they're located. That means World War III. Hold on, here's why. If these missiles go in and Russia retaliates with nuclear weapons against Kyiv and anyone else supporting Kyiv, that's NATO, by charter, the United States has to defend NATO. We have to get involved in a war. It's what we've signed up for. Hopefully, when Donald Trump gets in here, maybe he blows NATO apart. That would be perfect. By the way, how do you ever know that you're making the wrong decision? Well, this might be a good test. If Adam Schiff comes out in support of it, maybe it's a bad idea. Shifty Schiff, who is still spreading Russia collusion misinformation, even after it's been debunked and he's been censored for doing so. Shifty Schiff took to X in support of the move to launch U.S. into World War III, saying, quote, glad to see POTUS, Biden, allow greater use of ATACMs to protect Ukraine. Protect Ukraine? You'll protect Ukraine by firing missiles? I continue. Shifty Schiff. We must continue to support our allies so that its courage on the battlefield will not have been in vain. Support Ukraine. Let them attack Russia. How much damage can one president do in 2 months? America may be about to find out. This is what happens when a man who is deemed mentally unfit to be prosecuted, remember that? An elderly man with a poor memory. They didn't want to bring him on charges with the documents in his garage because he was too old. We'll let him be in charge of the nuclear codes while we do a victory dance and laugh at women shaving off their hair and carrying out sex strikes in protest of Trump's election. Biden is quietly, seemingly finding new and inventive ways to ruin the country and even potentially endanger the entire world. But that's not all. You see, when Biden, Obama's proxy president, isn't too busy starting World War III, he's also apparently working around the clock with his administration to try and dole out billions and billions in grants. More spending just under the wire and under the cover of 2 months left to go. Why not really rip every American's remaining savings just to shreds, right? Because that'll jack up inflation and really stick it to Trump. In just one incredibly annoying example, the Energy Department announced today $544 million in loans to a Michigan company, loans to a Michigan company by the government, to expand manufacturing of high-quality silicon carbide wafers for electric vehicles in Michigan. In Michigan, Joe's learned nothing apparently. Michigan made their disdain for electric vehicles and Biden and Harris well known by giving Trump the win. That loan is one of 28 deals totaling $37 billion granted under a clean energy loan program that was revived and expanded under Biden, getting it out the door before he leaves. $37 billion of your dollars. I guess the White House has already forgotten that Michigan voters were angry about their obsession with electric vehicles, as I said, and yet Team Biden has a new urgency to do exactly what those Michigan voters do not want. Wonder what's in it for them. Where's the string attached for the Democrats? And it wouldn't be a Democrat White House without desperately trying to shove more socialist regulation into the mix, because why not add more regulation, one of the greatest fuels for inflation of the sad Biden era? Great idea. Let's make it more difficult and more costly to produce goods, and more of our goods become more expensive. These people have zero clue on how to run a country, multitasking, starting World War III with one hand and burying America under more inflation and deficits with the other. Sounds about Democrat right. The 2024 Federal Register topped 90,000 pages and is now the second longest ever, dating back to 1936. With a month to go, and now with even more regulation, it's on pace for more than 100,000 pages, which would make Joe Biden the all-time champion of over-regulation. Why do Democrats hate America so damn much? They staged the coup behind closed doors, removed Joe Biden from the presidential race. Why wouldn't they just remove someone who's surely the real threat and danger to our democracy as we know it? The American people, we were promised that our weapons wouldn't be used this way in Ukraine, right? They told us that. We were promised that our country wouldn't be plunged even further and deeper into conflict with Russia. Why is this happening now with 2 months left to go? Why is this happening with 2 months before President Trump takes over? We must always ask ourselves why. Because there are no coincidences in politics or in policy or in DC swamps. There are always more sinister reasons for doing the things they do, particularly when carried out by Joe Biden and Barack Obama. You know, We laugh about Biden wearing that MAGA hat on his head, asking ourselves if maybe he's decided to join us garbage Americans as payback for what they did to him, how his own party betrayed him, how Kamala Harris stole what Joe felt was rightfully his. But one more shot at the White House? Nah, not for you, Joe. Deranged as it was, the fact that he earned the votes to do it, they took it all away from him. It was really funny that Jilly Biden, Dr. Jill, chose the bright red suit to vote on Election Day. Remember, she wore that red suit, really almost like a Trump tie. Another possible sign, or that Jill Biden wouldn't even look at Kamala Harris on Veterans Day at the White House. Remember that? Well, it's fun to watch the Democrat Party turn on itself, eat their own on full delicious display for all of us to watch. And yes, that is wildly entertaining. But we seem to forget one very important fact. None of that changes that these people are still Democrats, and they still have the power. Democrats still love illegal migrants more than they love Americans. They still love the globalist agenda enough to hate and hurt Americans. And they still believe in so-called equity in the name of power and control over us. Even if they have little squabbles within the party, they're always united in one agenda: hurt Trump, get Trump, destroy Trump. Even if it means hurting America and Americans to do it at any cost. The next 2 months will be telling. Obama's last change to do as much damage as possible. His stooge is still in the White House, so why not? This is his last chance. So how much damage can be done in just 2 months of a presidency? I fear we're about to find out, and it's not good, not at all. All right, folks. We call this last part of the show the kicker, and boy, does this really earn the title of the kicker. Watch this pickleball game. Back and forth, right? What happened here? What's happening? Uh-oh. Watch this little shake. The hand goes down. They drop the racket. He goes to pick it up, and boom! Kick the guy in the face. Dude, kick the guy in the face. The sore loser kicked the winner in the face. Unbelievable. Look, and the other guy, the guy who got kicked in the face, his partner goes after him, and it's a mess. It's a mess. Let's see if we see do we have the puppy? Do we have the dog? We have the Chihuahua come in here? Look at the Chihuahua off to the left coming in here. Where is he? Chihuahua wants to get involved. We watch it? There he is. There's the Chihuahua. I laugh because I have my beautiful Ari, the long-haired Chihuahua. Crazy, right? Kicker, pickleball. Rough sport. No truth to the rumor that my wife was on that pickleball court, being the queen of pickleball in Boca Raton. Bowling out for Tuesday. See you again tomorrow, folks.